Why? Why must our own story always be different?
Is can you try for a VBAC after 2 previous C-sections? The answer is yes, you can, but there's 3 tips you need to know. Tip number 1, know your chances of success. There's a link to a website that runs a calculator that will actually calculate your chances of success. That model has now been validated as being predictive for patients who've had 2 prior C-sections as well. So you can run the same numbers and find out your chance of success after 2 C-sections just like you can after 1. Tip number 2, know that the risk for trying for a vaginal birth after 2 C-sections is a little higher than after 1. Now we usually quote that rate as about 1% if you've had 1 previous low transverse C-section. There's data out there that shows that the risk is about double that if you've had 2 C-sections. You should consider that 2 or so % chance risk of uterine rupture when you're thinking about your chances of success as calculated by the model I provided. I would encourage anyone to consider a trial of labor after C-section if the chance of success based on that model was at least 60%. If it's less than that, the risks are high.
I'm looking at all these people and I'm like, what is the difference? You know, why is it that we cannot have these things even though we have well-qualified, well-trained health professionals, government, politicians? What is the thing with us? And I have thought about this for a long time. I've been following you, Gladys, since the time you announced of this incident. And I was like, maybe this is not a good time to use this as an opportunity to speak about this particular topic. Because even though you are sharing this with us, you might not be open to somebody extending it or, you know, taking your story and using it. But once I heard you speak about how you want people to know what's going on and how people should prepare for birth, you were trying to tell people, you know, if they tell you to do this, make sure you do that. I told myself, then this is a good time for me to also add in this advice. I guess there's no lie here that there was a lot of negligence on the part of the maternity home. I can't even imagine someone who is going through a birth after a repeat C-section who is not being monitored. Because if you're monitoring the person, you'll be able to tell if they are going through a certain pain, but there's no contraction. You'll be able to tell that, okay, you are having this pain over and over, but we don't see anything happening. There's no contraction or there's no movement or there's no this. They will be able to tell that there is an emergency and they need to see you. They need to get some help for you. If they had put in place a backup doctor to go to, which is what they do here, every birth center, they normally call the maternity homes that we call maternity homes here, they call them birth centers. So where I had my baby, they have a backup doctor who I actually saw once during my prenatal care. So they have a backup doctor in case of emergency, you go and see them. So my thing is, if we are going to call out this maternity home, then we should also call out these doctors that make people like you find yourself in the hands of people who are not so knowledgeable to take care of you during your birth. And I know a lot of people are wondering, what do I mean? Because if these doctors had welcomed you because of your birth choices, if you had not been treated as an outcast based on your beliefs and what you wanted in your birth, which is backed by science. I know a lot of people came in the comment to say, hey, you know, VBAC is never recommended, blah, blah, blah. Once you have a C-section, it's not recommended. Some people say once you have 2 C-section, that's why I started my video with, why? Why is our own case different back home? Here, yes, the doctors here, they do bully people into telling them that, hey, I don't want to do this. You have to go for a repeat one because you've had previous, but you still have a lot of choices. There are still many more. As much as there are many doctors that are saying I won't do it, there are many more who are saying I will do it. And the information is there for you to decide and know. You are informed. You know the questions to ask. You could have asked that midwife if you were informed. Hey, who do we see? Who is your backup doctor? You could have asked that midwife if you were informed. Are you monitoring me? I'm feeling this pain. What does this mean? Blah, blah, blah. Because from your information, to be honest, you could have had a beautiful vaginal birth. But it was because of lack of money. You were told to go and just lie there on the bed. For somebody who has had a repeat C-section. So it was just for a lack of care. And I'm afraid as you are trumpeting, that fear of C-section, VBAC, it's going to put us, our system is already messed up. Instead of us calling for these OBs to step up to what they studied in school, we are rather playing into their hands, putting fear in people about VBAC. The thing is, for us in cities, for you in cities, it's easy for you to find those doctors to do the surgeries for you. But what about our family members in the village? What about the people who don't have the money to even do that cesarean? Because I do know that cesarean is expensive than a vaginal birth. Do they also have to bleed out and lose their life and their children? And that's why I want to advise everyone. Learning about women's health, birth, is no longer a career choice as we know it to be. It's your human right as a woman to learn about birth, to learn about how a baby moves, to learn about how to maneuver your labor when you're in labor. What type of work should you do? What type of steps should you take? What is a sign of danger? This is no longer something you leave to midwives or doctors. These are things you should know. Questions to ask. What are the risks? What are my choices? What are the alternatives? And there's a course that they normally call the doula training. And here in the US, it's really big where you become a trained doula and you work. It has been proven over and over. If you can go search it in your Google or your whatever website you use. If you have a doula, a birth doula, your rate of C-section decreases. Your rate of having a physiological birth increase when you have a birth doula. And I'm saying the rate increases. It doesn't mean that for sure every time it's going to happen, but that helps you. So you as a mother, train yourself. Some of these courses do not take that long and they are not even expensive. You can train yourself. If you like, message me, I'll hook you up. This is no longer a career choice. I made sure I trained myself. I went and got the training to be a doula. Maybe one day I will be a hands-on doula, but I'm like, if I have the chance, I want to share the knowledge with people. It's not everything that it has to be career or monetized. Sometimes we just have to know things because that's how it used to be when our forefathers, our ancestors used to live without medicine. And when I say medicine, I'm talking about these modern day medicine, because you think epidural and these things were there back then. They were not there, but they were still having babies. Did they have a high mortality rate? Yes, but they still had babies. So can we use some of the things they did? Yes, we can. But where's this knowledge? We don't have it anymore because everything is now about certification, going into school. So we have to go back into getting that knowledge. We have to go back. How many women know their cycles? We've all been placed on birth controls. I started knowing about my cycle after I had my first baby. Can you imagine? From the time we get our periods to the time we get married, how many of us know our cycles? And a cycle of a woman defines her whole health. If you want to know how healthy you are as a woman, take charge of your cycle. You will know everything. You will know what goes wrong, what goes right. You will know when you have those temperaments. You will know how to prepare for even your period week. That is how in tune you will be with your body. You will know everything that is wrong with you and you will fix it. And so I know this thing is very unfortunate, but for everybody watching, I want this to be an opportunity or a call for us to take charge of our health. For how long? I can blame these doctors forever. I can blame these maternity homes forever. But at some point, we have to take charge of our health and do as much as we can to be in control and demand. Because if these doctors were receptive of you, you wouldn't have been forced to be in a place like that. And these things happen everywhere, even here it's happening. But a person of your caliber, of my caliber, because I'm looking at some of your videos, I would say, like, in terms of standard of living, maybe you and I probably are on the same level. People like us do not go through this because we are informed. But back home, you find even worthy people losing their lives. People that you feel like they should be trained and they should be knowledgeable about health. We don't, because we just follow the system. They say this way and we just follow. Like I said, it happens everywhere, but it shouldn't happen to you and I. So this is the day you take charge of your health. This is the day you start researching things about who you are as a woman and pass it down to your daughter, pass it down to your sons. I'm so sorry, Gladys, that this had to happen to you. I watched your other video, you were like 1 in whatever women, and that one had to be me. That thing hit me so much. I don't want another woman to be in that position. And if you're hearing my voice, it shouldn't be you. It shouldn't be anybody you know. Let's take charge of our health. Let's know what is available to us. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself. I just want to say, I'm not against cesarean birth. Cesarean birth save life. But we also have to know that it comes with cost, it comes with risk. The fact that you're going for cesarean doesn't exempt you from health issues. And if there's a way to have the physiological birth, then why are our doctors preventing us from having it? Is it because they are not well trained? Is it because they need more education? Why is it that in Africa there's no doctor standing up for these things? Here you find so many doctors, advocates say, no, these women can't be going through this. They deserve this. They deserve to have the birth they want. Where are our own people speaking for us? Because if you are healthy, if you go through a C-section, you shouldn't be made to go through a repeat. Because the health risk is more when you go through a repeat than when you go for a VBAC. So the reason why it has now become scary, we should be addressing why it has now become scary. Instead of us even making that fear even bigger. Let's ask these doctors questions. Why is it scary? Is it because you're not trained? Do you need more education? We should be pushing them to find those answers for us. Because I know back home, doctors are like small gods. We worship them, we trust them for everything. So we have to ask them, these things have to stop. The amount of times it happens, it has to stop. Like you mentioned, this is so common in our countries and it has to stop. Thank you. Bye-bye.